Good afternoon. Distinguished members from academia and corporate, learned delegates, workmate fraternity, supportive board members, courageous students, exceptional staff from each of our institutes and organizations of the Hotel The Park, Kolkata, representatives from the media and everyone present here today. We are honored and humbled by your presence amidst a phase shift. It is an honor to stand before you today on this occasion of Eastern Region Deans and Directors Roundtable Conference by Association of Indian Management Schools, acronym AIMS, across this beautifully decked dais of the Park, Kolkata. My name is Swati Vasu, working in the capacity of an assistant professor with Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan Institute of Management Science, formerly known as BIMS. Along with my colleague Dr. Paulini Bhattacharjee, we take the responsibility to compare the flow of the day's event. We bring greetings to you on behalf of BIMS family and our personal behalf. It is a privilege and pleasure to extend a warm and cordial welcome to each of you, present in person and in virtual mode. The theme of AIMS Eastern Region Deans and Directors Roundtable Conference 2022 is Impact of National Education Policy on Management, Education and Curriculum. Indeed, it's a blessed moment to meet through difficult times and augment our learnings from such discussion forums. As the mood vibrates with optimism, let us collect the most from it. Moving on, we request everyone to stand as we mark the opening of the session by lighting the lamp. May we request all the dignitaries to kindly be here for lighting the lamp.
ठीक है जाने देखें come so we'll join together We should have electronic.
Yeah.
Environment point of view. But then currently you have. Yes, yes.
That's fine.
Please come.
Yeah, we should have started.
That's particularly.
Thank you, everyone. May we now request Dr. Ramakanta Patra, Vice President, AIM Assistant Region, to kindly be on the dais. Yeah. So may we request Dr. Ajit Singh Teti to kindly be there on the dais. Dr. R.C. Bhattacharya. So Dr. Uday Salunkhe. Dr. Apurva Palkar. Dr. Shaukat Manchur. Professor Shantanu V. Thank you. May we be now allowed to felicitate the dignitaries with a token of our appreciation. May I request Dr. R.C. Bhattacharya, Chairman, AIMS West Bengal Chapter and Vice Chairman, Global Business School, Kolkata, to kindly felicitate Dr. Ajit Singh Teti, President, AIMS and Director General, Guru Nanak Institute of Management Studies, Mumbai.
Dr. Ajay Pathak, Vice Chairman, AIMS West Bengal Chapter and Director of ICFI Business School, Kolkata, to kindly felicitate Dr. Uday Salunkhe, former President and Group Director, Ellen Wellinkar Institute of Management Development and Research, Mumbai.
Thank you. Dr. Nima Rao, he is present with us on virtual mode. So can we request? He's on, so he's there with us online in virtual mode. So, sir, may we request Dr. Anil Kumar Taila, if you kindly receive the gifts on behalf of Senior Dr. Rao.
Swagata Sen-Gupta, Assistant Professor and Teacher in Charge, Heritage Business School. To kindly felicitate Dr. Apurva Pal, former President and Director, Innovation, Incubation and Linkage, Savitribai Phule Pune University, Pune.
So, she's on.
May I request Sir Dr. Apurajita Roy to kindly do the honors, please. Assistant Professor, IMS.
We now request Dr. Kapil Shah, Director, Institute of Management Study, to kindly felicitate Dr. Shrikant Merchant, Vice Chancellor, Macau. Thank you. May I now request Dr. Ramakanta Patra, Principal, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan Institute of Management Science and Vice President, Eastern Region, AIMS, to kindly felicitate Dr. R.C. Bhattacharya, Chairman, AIMS West Bengal Chapter.
May I now request Dr. Mohi Das, Professor, IISWPM. Is he there? Request Dr. Sneha Basu, Assistant Professor, IMS, to kindly do the honors of felicitating Professor Shantanu Roy, Senior Professor and Mentor, Faculty of Management, Commerce and Economics, Sister Nivedita University, Kolkata.
Thank you. May we now request Dr. R.C. Bhattacharya, Chairman, AIMS West Bengal Chapter and Vice Chairman, Global Business School, Kolkata, to kindly felicitate Dr. Ramakanta Patra, Principal, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan Institute of Management Science, Kolkata.
May I now request Professor Sandeep Singh Sodhi, HOD, Department of Business Administration, PM, Kolkata, to kindly felicitate Dr. D.Y. Patil, former President and Director, Guru Nanak Institute of Management Studies, Mumbai.
May I now request Dr. Kapil Shah to kindly felicitate Professor Mohammad Masood Ahmed, former President and Director, NESU, Institute of Management. Okay, he's absent. Okay.
May I request Dr. J. Mukhopadhyay?
Jane.
May I request Professor Kapil Shah, Director, IMS, to kindly felicitate Dr. P. Narayana Reddy, Member, Southern Region and Director, Sri Vidya Niketan Institute of Management, Tirupati.
May we now request Dr. Anupam Bhattacharya, Faculty in Charge, IE in Kolkata, to kindly felicitate Dr. G.K. Shiduri, Regional Vice President, Western Region and Vice Chancellor, Sri Balaji University, Pune.
May I request Dr. Apurajita Roy, Assistant Professor, IMS, Kolkata, to kindly felicitate Dr. Anil Rao Kaila, former President and Senior Dean and Director, Wellington Institute of Management Development and Research, Bengaluru.
Second time.
Yeah. May we now request Dr. Charanpreet Singh, is he present with us? Dr. Charanpreet Singh? Okay. Dr. Shubhi Sen to kindly felicitate Dr. Parag Chandra Kalkar, Treasurer, AIMS and Director, Singhal Institute of Management, Pune. Thank you, sir.
I request Dr. Vidhu Bhushan Mishra, Chairman, AIMS Odisha Chapter, to kindly felicitate Dr. R. Radhagopal, Regional Vice President, Southern Region, and Director General, Sri Saraswati Tyagaraja College, Pollachi.
Dr. Vijay Patel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
May we now request Dr. Dr. Patel, Senior Professor Management, Globson Business School, Kolkata, to kindly felicitate Dr. S.S. Prasad Rao, Professor, School of Business Studies, Sharda University, Greater Noida. Okay, so there is not present here now. Okay, so we expect him. Yes.
Moving on, may I request Professor Vishnu Chatterjee, Assistant Professor, PIMS, to kindly felicitate Dr. Vijay Page, Senior Advisor, AIMS Test for Management Admissions, ATMA.
We will now request Dr. D.P. Chattopadhyay, Senior Professor Management, Global Business School, Kolkata, to kindly felicitate Dr. Vidhu Bhushan Mishra, Chairman, AIMS Odisha Chapter.
May I request Professor D.P. Chattopadhyay, please to stay at a while and please do the honors for Engineer Saroj K. Sahu, Secretary, AIMS Odisha Chapter.
Thank you. May we now request Dr. Shubhata Chattopadhyay, Professor, UEM, Kolkata, to kindly felicitate Mr. A. Venkateshwar, Executive Secretary, AIMS.
On his way.
Okay. So we will do the honor maybe a little later. Yeah.
May I request Dr. Vidhu Bhushan Mishra, Chairman, AIMS Odisha Chapter, to kindly felicitate Dr. Prabir Pal, Chairman, Okay, Dr. Pal is also yet to arrive.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Moving on. Dr. Ramakanta Patra completed graduation and post-graduation from Calcutta University and completed her PhD in Human Resource Accounting from Bhopal University. Presently, he is the principal of Bharati Vidyavardhan Institute of Management Science, Kolkata, and has published more than 6 books and 55 research papers. He is presently the Regional Vice President, Eastern Region AIMS. May I now request Dr. Ramakanta Patra to kindly make the welcome address.
Very good afternoon to all the respected guests on the dais and the deans and directors of different B schools of Eastern region and some other parts of the country, and faculty members. I will take the privilege to perform my on behalf as well as on behalf of AIMS Eastern region to welcome you all to this roundtable conference on NEP 2020. as we all know, that NEP is a very important area. After 34 years of our independence, we have got this new education policy. There are a lot of, I think, positive as well as negative we are discussing. But based on that only, we formed as one committee who has sent a recommendation to the competent authority with some suggestions and recommendations. So, and the members who are present over here, they were part of the committee. And as far as we understand this, if we implement this NEP properly, it will give a tremendous result. As well as some areas which needs to take care of. I am not the right person, and we have the competent authority before you today. They will discuss and deliberate on this topic, NEP, and my request to all of you that participate in the discussion. And if you have any suggestion, any recommendation, we are preparing a report, we will send to our answer. So once again, I will take the privilege to thank you all the participants of the guests, and my organizing committee who has worked very hard to make this a grand success. Thank you. And my students also. Students volunteers are also there from different institutes. They are also working hard for this organization. And the staff members who are involved in this program. So thank you all. Thank you once again. Media also is there. They are going to publish in, I think, 2-3 media. One TV channel is also there. They are giving coverage. So thank you all. Thank you once again from the core of my heart. Thank you. Thank you very much.
May I now request Professor Dr. R.C. Bhattacharya to kindly deliver the inaugural address. Professor Bhattacharya, Vice Chairman, Globson Business School, and Vice President, Chairman, AIMS West Bengal Chapter, had his education in strategic thinking and management from Wharton Business School, USA, MBA from Cranfield University, UK, postgraduate diploma in management science from Staffordshire University, UK, and masters in metallurgy from Institution of Metallurgists, London. The core area of his education includes strategic management, strategic marketing, corporate governance. He is an alumnus of the Cranfield Business School, UK, Wharton Business School, USA, and North Staffordshire, UK. He was the head of marketing, Indian Oxygen Limited. He was also the senior vice president marketing with one of the Aditya Birla Group companies. He has been teaching industrial marketing, marketing of services, strategic marketing, and other topics on marketing for many years, and offers first-hand experience in strategic analysis and brand building in industrial markets, corporate marketing, relationship marketing, loyalty building, and so on. Thank you, sir, for being with us.
Good afternoon to you all. I'm an academician by default. 18 years as the chief executive of British Oxygen. I taught at IIM Capital for 18 years. And now here I am for another 18 years. So it seems that academics has taken more than what I did in the industry. So I am actually not a doctorate, not somebody like a guy and all this, but I am with you. And the problem is, I tell Dr. Salute, I tell Dr. Patro, please leave me. No, you are there. Anyway, I've written something, respected guests from outside Calcutta, particularly my friend Dr. Thiti, Dr. Salute, and all others that you have been kind enough to come to Calcutta. It is my pleasure and pride that I have been given this opportunity of delivering the inaugural speech on this important event. This is my first opportunity to meet friends from outside of Kolkata physically since 2019 lockdown. I was inducted at IIMS by my friend Professor Shantanu Ray when he relinquished the position of Vice President Eastern Region after his departure from ICFAI, he suggested that I take over the position of VPER from him. I agreed and made Globe Seal and like many. I remained VPER for about 5 years. I fondly remember the Deans and Directors meeting held about 16 years ago at our Salt Lake campus. We were lucky to have my friend Dr. Saluke, Professor Amar Rao, Father Abraham, amongst others in that event. A few weeks ago, I received a call from my friend Dr. Saluke suggesting that we hold the Eastern Region Deans and Directors meeting this year at Kolkata. Dr. Teti also talked to me, and immediately I contacted my friend Dr. Patro and started taking actions. Unfortunately, however, in the meantime, I fell ill. Now, normally my colleague DPC is having the back pain, but now I have developed the back pain with age. What is happening? Shankaracharya said, "Ang golitam golitam mundam." मेरा भी वही दशा हो गया, कान में भी नहीं जाता सुनता है. So that being the case, I have been ordered rather by my VPER, you must come physically. I said, how do you talk digitally? No, you come physically. And in the my wife is advised, Corona is still coming, so put this mask on. Today's program has been possible mainly due to the relentless effort of my friend Dr. Patro, the current VPER, with the help of other colleagues like Professor Ajay Pathak, or ICFAI, Dr. Tapas Saha, the director of IMS, and my colleague Dr. D.P. Chakrabarty from GlobeSeal. I profusely thank them for their effort and success. Of course, they have been getting guidance from Mr. Venkata Saru and Dr. Teti from time to time. The topic in this roundtable, NEP 2020, is an apt one. It is said that the days of Industry 4.0, that is the age of AI, IoT, and business analytics, etc., is almost over. We are now entering the age of Industry 5.0, where machines will work, but human beings will remain the main driver. Similarly, Society 4.0 is slowly changing to Society 5.0. It will not be merely consuming society purchasing from malls anymore. Society 5.0 will be a smart digital society where people will buy all their products and services remotely through digital means. Hence, Education 4.0 also has to change to take care of this change in Industry 5.0 and Society 5.0. The environment has been changing very fast. There's war in Ukraine, political turmoil in the UK, famine in Africa, and terrorism everywhere. Moreover, the physical environment is also causing havoc throughout the world with floods, wildfire, melting of glaciers, etc., due to global warming. In fact, the other day, the gentleman of Microsoft said that whereas it may take 2 to 3 years to take care of Corona, but it will take 30 years to take care of global warming. So it's a big problem. Moreover, pollution is creating havoc in the form of plastic waste and now electronic waste. Tomorrow's business leaders will have to address these issues. They have to be not only technically competent, but they also should have empathy and compassion for the weaker sections for sustainability and avoiding social chaos. Of course, each problem creates a new opportunity. For example, Corona has created the digital world and EduTech is gaining ground. Hence, the education policy has to change from time to time to take care of these technological and societal changes. The first education policy of Free India was made by Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan in 1948, but for university education. The second education policy was on school education in 1952 by Dr. A.L. Mudalia. The third one was on total education under Dr. Kothari in 1964. The last education policy was framed by Acharya Ramamurthy in 1992. NEP 2020 has come after a gap of long 28 years under the chairmanship of Dr. Kasturi Rangan, so it was overdue. I have great regard for Dr. Kasturi Rangan. I used to know him when he was the chairman of ISRO. I was associated with Cryogenic Engine Development as a supplier of liquid nitrogen, liquid helium from BOC. We used to meet almost every month at Trivandrum. He is a great liberal, and I'm sure he has done a great job with national education policy. As I understand, the main thrust of this policy is on 3 E's, namely educate, encourage, and enlighten. Any policy is likely to have some gaps. In my opinion, NEP 2020 does not address managing social and language diversity, inclusiveness, and taking care of weaker sections of the society, and the focus is mainly on GDP, gross development progress, but not on GHP, gross happiness progress. Anyway, we are aware of the main planks of NEP 2020, like multidisciplinarity, focus on technology and research, global linkage, and collaborative research. The need for today's discussion, however, should possibly be the way the business schools like ours should go about implementing the policies enunciated by NEP 2020. The reason is, it's already there 2 years, and we have to now implement it the way we can, the best possible we can. We hope the distinguished panelists will show us the way to go ahead. Before I close, I would like to point out 3 E's and 3 I's. DPC knows I have got this knack of saying E's and I's. So 3 E's stand for equity, equality, and ethics, and while 3 I's stand for integrity and purpose, Indian values and culture, innovation and entrepreneurship. In fact, Peter Drucker wrote the book on innovation and entrepreneurship many, many years ago. He discovered, he said, that innovation should be taught, and today we see that. Similarly, I don't see why we should not study Maurya Empire. Why should we should not study the Ashoka? These kinds of characters that we have for management values. So, anyway, this is some of the thoughts that which have come. I hereby inaugurate the roundtable discussion and wish the program a great success. Thank you all.
Sir. Professor Mohammad Masood Ahmed is here with us, former President and Director, NESU, Institute of Management and Computer Science, Hyderabad. May we now request Professor Sandeep Sondi, sorry, I take your pardon, sir. Dr. J.A. Mukhopadhyay, Professor, Army Institute of Management, Kolkata, to kindly felicitate Professor Mohammad Masood Ahmed. Thank you, sir. Dr. Ajit Singh Sethi is the founder and Director General of Guru Nanak Institute of Management Studies, Mumbai. He is a recipient of being one of the top 51 states of the country by the leading publishing house, the Times Group. Dr. Ajit Singh has possessed a wide administrative experience that has made him worthy to occupy varied posts like a member of the Standing Committee, Scrutiny Committee, University Sports Committee, Finance and Accounts Committee, and Budget Committee. He was a member of the Management Council, all associated with the University of Mumbai, and the Steering Committee Planning Commission, Government of India. He is inspired by the values of Sikh cosmopolitanism and tries to keep up with the principles put forward by the 10 gurus of the Sikh pantheon. His philosophy of life is to keep things simple and sweet. Sir, I beg your pardon because we have to keep short the bio notes, sir. We have to keep it short. So, may we now request, and I'm profusely elated to take the opportunity to introduce to introduce Dr. Ajit Singh Deshmukh and request him to kindly make the presidential address.
My apology for disturbing them because we teachers are having the bad habit of standing upon the dais and speaking to the students. Please excuse me for that. Our past president, Emma Rao Saab, who is with us online, Dr. Uday Salunke, Group Director, V School, Dr. Divya Patil, Group Director, Guru Nanak Institute of Management Studies, Mumbai, Dr. Purva Palkar, our past president, Head of the Innovation in Savitribai Phule University, Pune, or past president Masood Ahmed ji, Anil Paila ji. I hope I'm not forgetting anybody.
The main president.
Or a regional vice president, Dr. Nandgopal ji, Ramakant Patra ji, Dr. Shirley ji, and others in absentia, or Treasurer Dr. Parag Kalkar ji, my senior mentor of all, R.C. Bhattacharya ji, our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Saikar Sahib, the one who is going to conduct us with the stick, Dr. Santanu ji, and my dear Dean and Director. It's a pride, privilege and pleasure for us because it was an ardent desire to come to Kolkata and have this meeting with the deans and directors. Meeting was postponed due to the pandemic, but ultimately it has happened. Thanks to Ramakant Patra and the team, please give them a big hand. It is also our ardent desire that we be able to establish aim in the Eastern region. So far, we used to go to Bhubaneswar or past President Pradeep Pal ji, Siddhartha Mangala ji. Now, we feel like coming to Kolkata and working along with such a beautiful audience, august audience, so that we are able to root ourselves very strongly, very firmly over here. So my appeal to all of you here and not all those over here, firstly, become the members of AIIMS, because it is our desire that all the activities in our institute should be supported by the AIIMS. We have our website. When you go to the website, you will be able to see how the support we are giving to everybody. So therefore, Patra ji, please see to it that we make everybody the member of the AIIMS
because it is the single largest body of the management education in the country, having more than 800 plus members. My appeal to all of you. Secondly, you should not mind. We are the host and we are considering ourselves. Generally, what happens when some guests come from outside, so we have to felicitate the guests. So we are not the guests, we are the host. We will be happy if the deans and directors or guests, precious guests, they are felicitated, but not we people, because they are the hosts, you know. And this what we have done in the other regions also. After the pandemic, when we had a lot of difficulty and our relation became digital, this year we could manage the offline meeting in West, that is Khandala, Lonavala. Then we could have the meeting in North, that is Dharamshala. We could have the meeting in South, naturally organized by Dr. Nandgopalji in Valparai, Coimbatore. And now we are over here. Gradually, our relations are arriving from digital to physical. Of course, this meeting, we are in a hybrid mode. All those who have not come over here, they are also able to join us and can enjoy this meeting. Now, in every region, we have chapters. We had the chapter meeting in Ahmedabad. We had a chapter meeting in Nagpur. We had a chapter meeting in Pune. And it is our desire that in East also, Ramakantji, we should be able to organize the meeting chapter-wise also, so that we go to every local corner to spread our message and to provide the support to them. And that's what we should do it, you know. Well, ultimately, what we are waiting here is that our students should be the beneficiary of what we are doing. Coming to today's topic, national education policy and the impact of this same. Now, it has been well dissected vertically, horizontally, and in depth also. And anatomy has also been studied in detail. But let us try to see from the management perspective. And what it is speaking about the management education. Knowing that no emphasis is being given to the management education, the AIMS appointed a committee under the leadership of AIMS founder Dr. Professor Joe Phillips and Vice Chairman Dr. Purva Bhaskar and other members, senior members. We have done a very elaborate studies of the national education policies. We conducted a workshop also. And then we made a booklet with the help of EY Ernst & Young, and we have spent 10 lakh rupees plus for preparing this report. It was a desire to sit across the education minister, Dharmesh Pradhan, to explain to him so that we are able to tell him the management education in detail has not been given the place in the education policy, new education policies. But it is very common man is having, we are common people, poor people, and we were not having the access to him, we could not reach him. So ultimately, we have to leave the report with him. The report is lying with him. And pray that deliberating upon that, and we will be able to include the voice of everybody in that new education policies so that the management education can be the direct beneficiary of that. This is as far as the NEPT, the impact will come into existence only once we start existing in that. Now, we must like to inform everybody that this is the second last board meeting. We are having the annual convention on 25th, 26th and 27th of August in Mumbai in Guru Nanak Institute of Management Studies, because it becomes the responsibility of the president to host that convention. So we will be having over there. On behalf of AIM, I extend my personal invitation to all of you, and the information will be reaching to all of you through our original Vice President, Dr. Ramakant Patraji. I would like to also inform that AIMS is organizing various competitions, Best Director Award, Best Case Studies Award. So many awards are there. You should participate in that. Best AIMS Geek Award, you should participate in that, and you should set your entries also so that many of the institutes in the eastern region must be able to get some incentive, a recognition, so that it will be a encouragement to all of you. So this is my appeal to you. I take this opportunity to wish one and all a very encouraging roundtable conference of Union Director in the Eastern region, and we will be happy, Patraji, you please be nice to give us a take away from this meeting so that we are able to put it on a record and give it to all the other regions also. One last announcement I would like to make. All of you know that tomorrow there is a rally over here. And because of that rally, there is going to be a disruption. We will have the board meeting tomorrow at about 10 o'clock. So that board meeting, we have preponed today at 6 p.m. If it is permitted, we will have it over here. So I will request our Executive Secretary, Venkatesh Varuji, where is he? To organize this meeting here at 6 p.m. in the evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words. We are fortunate to have amongst us the President of Bengal Olympic Association, Mr. Shopam Banerjee. I request Dr. Ajay Pathak, sir, to kindly felicitate him.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Now we move on to the much awaited part of today's session, the panel discussion on the impact of national education policy on management education and curriculum. I take the privilege of introducing the moderator of the session, Professor Shantanu Roy. Professor Shantanu Roy, FCA, CFA, is perhaps the only academic who who has a strong presence in the corporate world. He is an independent director of 7 reputed Kolkata-based companies like Century Ply, Star Cement, Dow Pala, Bharat Road Networks, SKP Securities, and Genesis Exports, listed in the Bombay Stock Exchange and National Stock Exchange. He is also connected with the Strachi Group as principal advisor. Professor Roy is a full-time senior professor and mentor to the Faculty of Management, Commerce, and Economics at Sister Nivedita University, Kolkata. He is also the director of the Internal Quality Assurance Cell of the university and is heading its Sports Management Department too. Thank you, Professor Roy, for doing the honors of moderating the panel discussion. Before handing over the session, I would take the privilege of introducing the discussants. First, we have with us virtually present amongst us is Professor M.R. Rao, the Professor Emeritus, Indian School of Business. During his tenure as Dean of the Indian School of Business, the institute was ranked globally in the top 20 by Financial Times rankings. He was a former director, dean, and professor at the IIM Bangalore. During his tenure as director, IIM Bangalore was ranked #1 in India by the Business Today Cosmos survey. He has published over 90 articles in professional journals. He has been the president of the Association of Indian Management Schools, as well as the Operation Research Society of India. He has also been the chairman, All India Board of Management Studies. He has received numerous awards, including the prestigious Fulkerson Prize in 2000, the Chief Executive of the Year Award 2000-2001, the Ravi J. Mathai National Fellowship Award in 2003, and numerous more. So just to keep it short, because we are running out of time, I move over to introducing the next honorable discussant of the day, Professor Uday Salunke. Professor Salunke heads the Wellington Institute of Management Development and Research as its group director, an edupreneur, thought leader, and a turnaround specialist. Dr. Salunke's passion for leadership, design thinking, and innovation has helped the V School carve itself a niche in the space of management education. He has the distinction of being the recipient of the prestigious Eisenhower Fellowship USA, which identifies, empowers, and links leaders across the globe.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. This much is enough. Thank you.
I think you can just give my next
Very
my
good.
resignation. That's
So we can save time. Save time.
Yeah, this is the-
Dr. Apurva Palkar is a startup specialist and
You can just
transformational
give my
expert.
designation.
She is
That's
the
it.
next
Direct
speaker.
recommendation, that's it.
Next, we have in continuation Dr. Oscar Majumdar, an adjunct faculty with MICA and the bar. And next in line, we have Dr. Shweta Puncha, Vice Chancellor, Maulana Abul Kalam University, Azad University of Technology, West Bengal. Over to you, sir.
I think I'll speak from here. Uh,
Please take it.
Actually, I am not an expert on education policy, but I live, eat, breathe, and drink management. It has been a long association for almost 50 years, where in 1973, I was chosen by what is called the Tata Administrative Service, and I joined Tata Steel. I'm about to complete 50 years next year. And I have seen things changing. And what is important is we must make our students corporate ready. Therefore, in my university, this is the Nivedita University, we have SAP lab with absolute hands-on. We are planning a fintech lab with absolute hands-on. We have to move with times, and our marketing division is all about, marketing department is all about digital marketing. Why I'm saying this is, what is the need of the hour? We are discussing not only postgraduate education, we are also discussing undergraduate education. In BBA, we have, believe me, we have 8 different verticals, 8 different streams with industry collaboration. We have a collaboration with the Bombay Stock Exchange. We have a collaboration with TCS. We have a collaboration with TechSoup for digital marketing, and it goes on. We also have thought and found that there is a tremendous demand for sports management. Therefore, we have started a sports management. We must respond to the market. I will just conclude with a quote from Andy Grove. Andy Grove, in his book, Andy Grove, as you all know, is the founder of Intel. Andy Grove, in his book, Only Paranoid Succeed, speaks of an inflection point. He describes the inflection point with an example. He says, imagine that you are standing at the edge of a cliff, and down below there is a rapid, fast-moving stream. Your friend asks you, can you jump into the stream and swim across to the other side of the shore? You say yes. But while on the other side, next to you, there's a seasoned rafter who is standing with his rafting gear and says, hey, don't jump, you will be washed away. You not and jump. This is an inflection point. Friends, management education has come to an inflection point, and we need somebody like Lou Jesner. What he did to IBM. Lou Jesner is the creator of IBM. He didn't join IBM, he was a customer of IBM. He was with American Express. He saw that a monolith, this IBM with this unit record system, when I joined Tata Steel, I could see those unit record systems, we tuck all the time. And he said, whenever he would ask for any maintenance service, nobody would come. So he decided to go, join IBM. And in his book, Who Says Elephants Can't Dance? I would suggest all of you read this book, all of us who are connected with management education. He says, he changed this monolith into a nimble-footed, responsive, customer-based, customer-focused entity. We have to also do that. We must make our students customer ready. Our customer is the corporate world. And we have to make it. That's what the corporate world wants. In my long association of 50 years with the corporate world, I have understood that management education is still in its own world, where the veritable lady of Charlotte, it's looking at the passing cavalcade through the windows. Those days are over, friends. And we have to, in my university, I have design thinking as a core course. We are going for a lot of new things. We have to always innovate. My mentor, Ajay's mentor, Taposh Shah's mentor, Professor N.J. Yashasvi, who created ICFI, Professor Masood would know, I'm sure. And he used to tell us, he was not a PhD. So we used to ask him, sir, why? He says, no, I don't believe. Mudra lagawa nidra job. That was a big term of Sir Professor Yashasvi. And these people, and also Dr. Panduranga Rao, who is the former president, I will not go into them, but I will only suggest one thing which Mr. Yashasvi had told us. He says, if a pin drops on Wall Street, its vibrations must be felt in ICFI Hyderabad and all the ideas. This is what management education should be. Education policy or no education policy. We have to respond. The world is shrinking, and we have to respond to this shrinking world. And it's a world of collaboration, not competition. Days of Michael Porter are over. Competitive advantage are over. This is a case of these are days of collaborative advantage. And about same idea, I'll close with a small anecdote about Watson. Friends, please visit the IBM website. Look for Watson. Who is Watson? Example is in one of the high rises, the caretaker suddenly finds somebody has come to maintain one of the elevators. So he says, what is this? Why are you here? He said, I've got a report that your elevator number 32 will malfunction in precisely another 1 week. He says, who made this complaint? He said, Watson. Watson is an AI product. And that is where this elephant has moved to Watson. Management education, at least in India, has also to move from elephant to Watson. Thank you very much. And I would now request, who's the first speaker? Dr. Imar. Dr. Imar, please continue.
Thank you, sir. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
You can hear me? So, distinguished dignitaries on the dais, on and off the dais, participants, deans and directors. It's indeed a pleasure to be here. I'm sorry I couldn't be there physically. I was not sure that I was going to be talking because I thought since I'm not coming, my name might have been dropped. But yesterday, Venkateswalu said my name is very much there. So anyway, it's only 5 minutes. I will talk about the NEP and what I think good points and some not so good points or not spelled out points, let me put it that way. It's a very good document, NEP. There's no doubt about that. And it's since it's a policy document, they don't get into too much details of implementation. That is to be expected. But the devil is in detail or in implementation, I would say. So it all depends upon how well it's implemented. You know, the very well articulated current problems are very well articulated in the document. One wonders why, if the problems are so well known, why can't they solve it without NEP? Some of them at least, could have been solved. But so my view, one pessimistic view is the same people. And there's what I call a management technique. If you can't solve the problem, take it to a higher level so that you'll buy more time and you don't have to worry about solving it. But the optimistic view is that a new organization, new ideas, new setups will bring about change. So let's hope the optimistic view will prevail and we'll see a lot of changes in the coming years. So higher education, they talk about higher education. I always like to break up higher education into undergraduate and postgraduate education, because I don't think this is the same between undergraduate and postgraduate. One big important difference is at the undergraduate level, students are still growing up and they need interaction among themselves, and you need more face-to-face sort of interaction. Whereas in the graduate education, they are already mature, at least to some extent at least. They don't necessarily need that kind of interaction. And so online education can be more appropriate in the graduate level. So unfortunately, everybody talks about higher education as one, but you should really break it up into undergraduate and postgraduate education in my view. So main thesis as far as PGDM is concerned is multidisciplinarity. They don't define how exactly multidisciplinarity is and how many different areas constitute multidisciplinarity. For all we know, one view is that management education is already multidisciplinary. So what else is new? You are not able to hear me, or you are able to hear me all right?
Yeah, we are able to hear you.
Okay, fine, thanks. So multidisciplinarity, especially if you talk about PGDM, 2-year program, how many extra courses can you have outside of the main area? It's only 2 or 3. And given that we have now online education, it's easy for somebody to insist, an institute to insist the students give a list of courses, good courses, online availability, and insist that the students take at least 2 of them and so on. So it can easily be made multidisciplinary in that sense. Now, the undergraduate level is where multidisciplinarity will have more impact. But unfortunately, the NEP and the implementation is missing the boat, according to me. What they're saying is, with the exit of 3 years, they'll give you a regular 3-year program, and the 4th year is actually more intensive research or more project-based and intensive work. But the idea of a 4-year program is you get multidisciplinarity in the first 2 years, and only in the 3rd and 4th year you do what you do in a 3-year degree program. But the 4-year program now, they're making it more like an honors program, whereas 4-year program should be multidisciplinary. And you don't get that multidisciplinarity by saying the first 3 years as it is now, and then the 4th year will be more intensive projects or research work and so on. So I think undergraduate level 4-year interdisciplinary program is very much necessary. My speaker before mentioned about changes that are going to happen. I think a lot of changes that are going to happen, especially in the graduate programs. And I think it's going to become modular programs. The real problem is in predicting when this will actually happen. They're predicting in the US, it will be in the next 5 years, you'll see dramatic changes and so on. In India, we always lag behind. It may take 10 years, 15 years, and so on. But the timing is always an issue. And, when I was a student at Carnegie Mellon, Herbert Simon, who won 2 Nobel Prizes, one for economics and one for, I think, psychology or something like that. He predicted that chess will become an irrelevant game in 10 years. And that was in the 60s. And my professor said, no, chess is not looking like it's going to get irrelevant. So we're going to make a predict well into the future. So if your prediction comes right, they'll say you're a visionary. And if your prediction doesn't come through, they'd have forgotten anyway. So we don't know what the timeline is, but you will see dramatic changes in the postgraduate program, and modular type of programs will come about. And industry relevant required, especially at the undergraduate level, because one problem is, it's easy to say industry relevant and so on, but to get projects for the students and interacting with industry, that is, and the ground reality is that it's not easy. It's fine for the top schools, the top 50 or 100 schools, but you go further down, they find it very difficult to have projects, meaningful projects and so on. So one has to be careful, but we have to think of how to solve that problem. Industry projects is useful, but if you can't get projects, then it will become a farce. Those projects will not mean anything. So, of course, AIMS had prepared a report. I don't know what the status is, but I would suggest that AIMS actually talk to other stakeholders such as IMA and talk to AICTE and promote this report. I'm not sure if it is being done, but I think waiting to get the appointment from the minister, which has not been forthcoming, but you should promote the report. And especially if the NEP is implemented as stated, then all these standalone institutes will have a big problem. But I think AIMS report is well written, well documented, and hopefully the authorities and the government will consider that favorably. But with these few words, I will stop. But I think the NEP in general is a good report, but the devil is in the detail, how it's implemented and how it goes on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rao. We very much appreciate your comments and your incisive incisiveness in analyzing the NEP. One thing that is a takeaway from me, which you said is diversity, number of options. But in my university, I most humbly state that in my university, which is only a 4-year-old university, we have what is called a choice-based credit system, where we are providing an array of electives. So that kind of response. So I will now request the Vice Chancellor of Macau, Professor Dr. Shulpat Montru, to make his points.
Well, thank you very much. All the dignitaries present with the dais, I'm not taking each and everyone's name for the paucity of time. I'm coming to the point directly because the today's discussions was this impact of the digital management education, probably something like this. And the thing is this, now in NEP, lots of recommendations have been put forward and many things are being implemented. But as the Vice Chancellor of the State Technological Affiliate University, I can say that it will take a certain amount of time to make each and every of these recommendations implemented. For example, it is being said that this affiliating measures that should be removed because all these institutions they should have the capacity to meet their own weakness. The entire process of giving autonomy to all these institutions are to be completed by 2035. So in this way, there are many, because the implementations of 4 years degree programs. So this will not be immediate. It will run side by side with the existing 3 years programs, and maybe in in due course of time, that one format will be disappearing and another format will be appearing. And then the challenges, particularly the challenges lies in the effective implementation of all these recommendations. For example, it is being recommended that credit transfer policy and multiple entry and exit. So how to take care of these, the first, this amount of all these exit entry which may take place, and how to take care of these credit transfer systems in effective and seamless manner for all these institutes across the entire country. That is a challenging scenario. Second is this, after this offering and after granting autonomy to each and every institute, how they're maintaining their quality in terms of their maintaining card science and all these things. And how these will be audited and how will be monitored all these things. So this is one is a challenging scenario. There are other recommendations. For example, massive emphasis on innovation and entrepreneurship that is required, that is very much required in our country. And the focus on this experimentation on pedagogy, particularly this teaching and learning, make it more effective, more engaging, more exciting in the classrooms, adopting experiential teaching and learning methods based on assigned-based teaching and learning methods. So these are required to be implemented, taking all the stakeholders in confidence, and because this is the major this impediment for all changes is the mental inertia, because we like to follow the processes which we were following for a long period of time, and more emphasis on self-learning, more emphasis on continuous learning, more emphasis on continuous assessment. So these are being recommended, but I have seen from my personal experiences, things are moving, but not at the desired speed so far. Many of the time, it is being compared the systems of prevailing at developed countries, particularly US and others, with Indian systems. I think this is absolutely not comparable, because in Indian systems, this complexity and this intrication, this ecosystem is entirely different of which is prevailing, which is there at US. A few years before, you probably remember that Apple's co-founder Steve Wozniak came to India and commented one this bitter sentence, which is innovation is not possible in India because Indian ecosystem never promotes innovation. It was his comment and public comment. Lots of this counter argument, lots of debate happened that time. But my point is we cannot compare this what is there in US and India and other countries, developed countries with Indian system. Indian system is unique. We have to design our curriculum, we have to design our intercourses and all these things based on this situation prevailing at the Indian subcontinent, where considering this diversity in culture, diversity in language, diversity in race, diversity in food habits, and all these things. Our strength is our these agricultural sectors, our strength is our demographic heritage, our strength is our this natural ambience, all these things. Based on this, how we can leverage all these advantages. This is the challenging scenario and managing education to get in all these figures. Number one, we see the food, this food scarcity. This is a global problem. The problem of Sri Lanka and problem of other countries we are seeing, and probably we have noticed that it has come within coming few years. Many countries may follow the suit like Sri Lanka, and the major reason is the food crisis. And how this food crisis is happening? Because this is a complex management problem, and in India we have this enough resources, we have enough this agricultural this conditions for good agricultural product development, but we are yet to derive the benefit of all these advantages existing at our hand. Second is this quality healthcare service provision for the large section of population. That is also a challenging scenario. Because of that, we are losing very important and valuable mandates. Because most of this population, they do not have access to healthcare, good healthcare. And most of this population, they are required to spend a huge exorbitant amount to avail this quality healthcare. So in both sides, in both ways, this is a very, very detrimental scenario, and we need to develop, we need to adopt technology. We need to manage this technology for offering good quality healthcare in the form of this telemedicine or digital healthcare across the entire country. management of disruption, management of environment. We made this Indian subcontinent, which was 6 heights surrounded by ocean, we may be the victim of rising sea level and global climate change. So how to manage all these situations? How to manage our intercultural conflict and intercultural, how to develop this co-harmony, how to develop this culture of cohabitation in a peaceful and in an effective manner. So all these are these challenges of this country. And here you see this what I've shared. Management education, offering this management education, it is a very easy task. But ultimately, what is happening to the product of this management education in terms of outcome that is to be critically assessed. We have seen the evaluation of jobs in management sectors. So how to take care of all these things? We can start many courses. We can induct students because that sort of awareness is still lacking in this country. But after that, what we are saying in the recent past, there is a tremendous devaluation of job. Number one. Number two, there is a problem in retaining the job. So continuous learning, continuous skill development of contextual and futuristic skill, because in future, how to manage this technological development in the form of this digital technology, in the form of the industry 5.0. One was mentioning industry 5.0 basic tenets is personalization and customization. How to go for this personalization, customization for these huge populations, huge this young populations of this country. Next year will be surpassing China in terms of the total numbers of people living in this country. So these are one side, these are challenges, these are another side advantage. Because if you can convert this challenge into opportunity, then our management educations and all these things, we can most of all these things, we can take pride of our education systems. So this is a difficult thing. This is really a challenging scenario, but not impossible. We need to work together. There are lots of these ways how to change the mindset, because these big industries are very difficult to now to come up countries like India, where agriculture now is considered and land is considered as one of the important area for economy, and land is now a scarce commodity. So maybe 30-40 years before, we have seen this tremendous growth of big industries that may not happen now, right now, because of the pressure from the land, pressure of the environment, less employability of these big industry houses, pressure on the water requirement, and all these things. So knowledge-based micro entrepreneurship, this is the future. And for that, identification of the problem, engaging our students in all these meaningful internship and training programs to make them understand what the problems exist. That is the concept of design thinking, to understand the training. The problem exists in the society. That should be now the focus of our management education. And maybe there are many recommendations, but fitting this in that there is a term called utopia. We can propose very good things. How we are taking care of the implementation of all these things together, working together in a seamless fashion, in a meaningful way. There lies our our existence, our sustainability, and I believe that institute like organization like this, that is the Association of Indian Management Schools, and all these management institutes, they have a very critical and crucial role to play in coming years in making education really important and life-changing for the billions and billions of Indian population. Thank you very much.
I would now request Dr. Thank you, sir. I would now request Dr. Uday Salu. Uday, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I had to request. Sir, requested me to.
It is perfect. Thank you. Since better, you want to do your.
Sir, hold 1 minute. 1 minute, sir.
Dr. Saluja, please start.
Luminaries on the dais and virtual as well. It's a great moment to be here. In the kind of keeping in mind time, I think we'll avoid all the rituals. It's always better. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I'm sure everybody is aware of what part of NEP. It's a question of how part of NEP, how we're taking it forward. And that's what probably implementation is the most difficult part. But sometimes people do have their own dilemmas, they do have their own challenges, inhibitions in mind that is it really going to be workable or not? But somewhere deep down, I feel, and I express in some of our platforms of AIMS as well, that definitely NEP has a lot of pluses, and we should really keep in mind whether the others do it or not, but we must take it forward and we should really look forward to that. And broad-based, some of the aspects which are there definitely, I'm trying to look at all the problems which people are discussing on many platforms to look at other challenges, in some challenges in opportunity spaces. The first opportunity space is clearly from the institutional restructuring and consolidation point of view. You get an opportunity to probably relook at your organization that for the future, how you're going to move forward. What got you here will not really take you there, maybe a few years down the line. So from that angle, how we take it forward? Multidisciplinary aspect has been discussed quite a bit. Definitely, it's a wonderful opportunity. Many of the business schools are doing it, and I'm sure in our AIMS report also we mentioned that yes, management schools are already following that, but beyond that also, be it in liberal arts side, be it in music, be it in theatre, I'm sure business schools can take it forward. Here, the name of the game is clearly in terms of co-creation. Definitely, it's a wonderful opportunity for collaboration, be it within the country, be it in outside country, but you can really come closely and leverage the strengths of other leaders in the marketplace. Parallelly, when we probably look at how industry, along with industry, this is quite upbeat. Industry is upbeat to join hands with the institutions. Foreign institutions, a lot of foreign partners, in recent last 2 or 3 months, even I could witness, they're quite keen on and they expressed that, yeah, NEP would give them a base for it in India. Maybe not necessarily campuses may take some time, but at least JV's point of view, MOU's point of view, definitely one can really go together. And parallelly, when we look at in terms of autonomy point of view, autonomy is one of the wonderful opportunity space which is there with us, and leveraging on flexibility, maybe looking to curriculum in a different manner altogether is quite possible. And curriculum, this gives us a very good opportunity as we are looking at probably that it will be blended future. Maybe 25% approximately online, 25% maybe face-to-face, 50% maybe skill-based. That's the way I think this kind of opportunity will really not only but even employability point of view also it will be a wonderful opportunity to take it forward. Corporates are definitely looking at CSR point of view to come forward. Next opportunity space is optimal learning environments and support for students. Definitely NEP is looking forward to every student can probably be nurtured in a customized manner. It is a uphill task, it is not an easy task, but I think this is a wonderful opportunity. I think we should at least start looking at from the pilot point of view and using tech as the backbone, maybe using entire spectrum of IoT of the world, AR, VR, and maybe analytics and taking it forward. And maybe students can be given a different level of support by virtue of raising the tech bar in our own respective campuses, physical campuses as well. Students will get further opportunities, so we need to kind of support them with the help of scholarships or multiple entry exits. The next opportunity space is good for the faculties in terms of how we can nurture motivated, energized, and capable faculties, and the entire value chain, starting from the recruitment to taking it forward, and how we should encourage it, maybe on the kind of instant validation, rewards, or maybe some kind of other recognition, institutional leadership. The academic leadership is missing big time in our country. Probably we profess quite a bit, but practicing point of view takes time. But I think this is a wonderful opportunity for capacity building point of view for every institution, and not necessarily only hardcore or functional knowledge point of view, but soft skills point of view. Nurturing teacher as a leader is not a task, but it takes time. But I think we need to get down to that and develop a leadership pipeline, maybe for various programs and maybe taking it forward. In fact, we did just yesterday, day before 2 days, using mountaineering kind of team along with the faculties. And believe me, the way in which the faculties could get engrossed is awesome, out of the world, absolute out of the world. And that we were doing it for quite some time. And when we're discussing about design thinking, we never waited for today's day to come. Design thinking, we started first program in India in 2006, but we were doing always a global benchmark. So I think NEP is a good, at least I'll say, kind of starting point for many institutions and taking it forward in a very innovative manner. And I'm sure Shantanu was mentioning about be it in gamification side, be it in simulation side, with new probably entire aspects we can explore. And theater, liberal arts, music, but theater I personally feel that is a wonderful way to teach faculties about leadership. And be it Chicago Booth School or many other business schools across the world are doing that. And next supported space which I feel is technology use and integration. The way in digital collaboration, and when you look at today, the way is probably Harvard has invested in Zoom, and many other business schools, even in India, across the globe, they invested. And your smart data hackathon kind of areas, or ISC kind of areas of education ministry, NISP kind of area, these are the wonderful opportunities. And ODL is opened up so much for accredited institutions. So I think we should take it forward. Shantanu did mention about TCS, maybe TCS just, or be it maybe SEBI, many other companies are coming forward for their own projects along with the students in the virtual and as well as blended manner. The research area, I'm sure NRF, National Research Foundation, we are all aware of, and everybody's trying to push them. But innovative leadership of innovation space is quite a bit open for us. Professional education side, CBCS, credit transfer, other areas are definitely known. But we must, as teachers in business school space, we must keep in mind the era of average is over. We must keep in mind that what is my unique value contribution to myself and maybe to my business school and to the society. We should be look at it. The couple of points only, actions to be taken to enable the organizations towards NEPs in the simplest way. Find the right people to form a pilot group for change making. At least pilot group of the people who are positive mindset. You can't start with the entire institution in that manner. Small group of people, positive people, find means to attract the members of the pilot group. How we can take it forward? Engage the people in the pilot group and make the pilot work look appealing. It's like the design thinking approach need to be embedded in this. Understand the resistance and acceptance among faculty members. It is required. This is pragmatic steps which I'm really referring to. There's bound to be some kind of hiccups in the initial stage or resistance as well. Visualize the vision and the good achievement so far. Probably what will really motivate faculties, staff, maybe students, your top management, overall the stakeholder engagement, how we can really do it, that we should really keep in mind. Take measures to start building on the existing good achievements. Those should be known, those should be visible for the team. Find right measures to empower people, proceed toward that vision. Identify the gap between the vision and the starting point, and find the corrective measures how we can take it forward. Initially, we may have to do the piloting, pilot projects, we may have to do it. And I'm sure we always talk about the significance of IBR is greater than ROI. That investment before returns is greater than ROI. You can't get the returns on investment overnight, but that IBR is very important, and we must engage from top management side, be it in tangible way, be it in intangible way. But I'm sure success is guaranteed, and this is going to be the great competitive edge for all our business schools. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Uday. Sorry, this thing is not working. Really wonderful, very in-depth analysis. You have prompted me to make one point that blockchain, may I add, with due humility, very few business schools are, even teachers are not aware of blockchains. So this is continuing education, which VC sir has said. Now it's my great pleasure to invite Dr. Apurva Palkar. So she's already been introduced. Dr. Palkar, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I find myself out of place sitting on the dais when I have so many senior members. Masuji is there, Diwai is there, they're very senior to me. But I think it is in the capacity of being the vice chair for that committee which was created. I think I've been given this opportunity to be sitting on the dais. I would like to specify a few things from the report. There was a mention of the report that has been created by AIMS, which was done by professionals, though we do understand that we're all from the business school space. But we also felt that we would like to present something the way government would like to see it. And that's the reason why Ernst & Young was brought in. And in this report that we created, the report was done when MR sir was leading that, of course, with Joe Philip and a lot of other members, Hyderabad, we had meetings at multiple locations. It was talking about the DNA of business education. And it talks about 3,300 business schools across India. And it talks about the future of 370,000 students studying in those institutions and the resistance to change, which has been spoken about by a lot of earlier speakers. As I said, they're all towering people who have spoken before me. But I would like to only specify a few things that have been given in the report. And I'm really thrilled to be in the city of Calcutta, which has been the pioneer in business education in 60s, when we had the birth of IIS, which happened in this state. What better place than Calcutta to speak and discuss on this aspect of future? And the future of innovation started in India and Ahmedabad and in Calcutta 60 years back. And we have to take this matter forward the way we think that we have tuned the world, we change the world, we change the economy of the country, we change the GDP of the country with the kind of business graduates that we've created. So I would like to just specify a few things that we've given in the report that we would like to recommend to the government while implementing the NEP, where one thing that most of the speakers have spoken is the framework for implementation, which is the big question mark. Everyone is accepting the fact that this change has to come by. But how will this change come by is what we are discussing in the report. We always said that we are not a pressure group. AIMS has never been a pressure group. AIMS is a body of intellects who is trying to help the government to make the changes in the society for the cause of the country. That's been the motto of all the past presidents, including people from Calcutta. We have, I think Shekhar Chaudhary sir is not in town today, but he's joining us tomorrow morning, is what I understand. He's out of India. So 4 things that have been written in the report is higher education implementation plan should have a dedicated section on management education and especially PGDM institutions. The reason PGDM institutions have been mentioned because it's the IIMs have given words to the PGDM space. Of course, we have the MBAs as well. PGDM institutions or MBA institutions should not have a regulatory mandate to convert to broad spectrum multidisciplinary university. Out of the blue, this cannot happen. Specific regulatory system for management education under Higher Education Commission of India should be created, and a specific framework for institutions to move from where they are today to where they're expected to be by 2035 is what is the framework that's been given to us. And I think this is what we are appealing to the government, and I would appeal to all members sitting here, please have a look at the report, which is very thoughtfully created from the management education perspective. And I think when we speak of the challenges of NEP, there are 5 pillars on which, or 6 pillars on which the NEP is being created. One is the equity, access, quality, accountability, and affordability. And it is easier said than done to speak about these aspects of,
access, the equity, of course, we've all been very, very conscious about the quality. But in terms of how do we make this education affordable and accountability goes without saying, because we've been very accountable, but there are some spaces in the NEP where we need to ponder and think about as to what is it that we really want. And I think there will be the 4 pillars on which all of us will have to work on. One is the faculty, second is going to be the student, third is the research component, fourth is the governance system. We'll have to change a complete governance system in our institutions, and this is where the role of leadership becomes very, very important. As Dr. Saruke mentioned, that we will have to create faculty champions within us to be the change driver of whatever we think needs to be brought on the forefront, which is very important. And I know and I believe that the future is all about collaboration. The future is all how we work with each other. And I think gone would be the days through the new education policy as we see, and also the technological interventions that we see. The differentiator for the institutes which were purely to large extent was on placement will cease to exist, because this is where AI ML will take a very significant role, and there will be the campuses and the people actually visiting the campuses will not be there. Second change that we all have to accept is the fact that we are talking about academic bank of credits, where institutions of similar ranking with the students could actually go to any institution and take the credits. So therefore, the branding exercise of the institutes will also change over a period of time. So we'll have to really think through as to how are we going to adapt to this change and who are going to be the drivers of the change. And it's important for forums like AIMS to discuss this right now so that we are able to create those kind of institutions. We already have those institutions with us. We have institutes like the Villagers, the Xavier's, and everybody. You name an institute in India which is top class, B-School. It's all them who have shown us the way. And I'm sure they're going to show us the way in future also on how are we going to drive this complete change. Internationalization is going to be another important component with many programs coming in. So it will be a borderless kind of an education. And very important, I would like to bring up this point of geography-centric education will also cease to change. I led a business school in Pune for about 10 years, and we would have a lot of students coming from east to us. We would have students from almost 30 different states. But I think this is going to change over a period of time because people will be able to do things in a digital mode as well. So these are the shifts and changes likely to happen. These were some few points that I had in mind. I thought I would share with you. And with this, I conclude, and with a small appeal to everyone to please read the report, give your opinions, and we'll be happy to take these opinions further to the policy makers in the convention and many other forums that we have. I think the next speaker is sitting at the back. Kaustubh is at the back. I don't know, for various reasons, I asked him 2-3-4 times to come ahead, but I would leave it to the moderator to invite him to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. I will now request Dr. Kaustubh Majumdar. Please come.
Good evening. Thank you very much, Dr. Balkar. I have sat at the back of my classrooms all my life, and I felt very awkward coming up to the front. I'm very grateful that I've been given this opportunity to come and speak in front of all of you. First and foremost, a very important housekeeping point that I must mention. I am actually not Dr. Kaustubh Majumdar. I never finished my PhD. So that I know how important it is and how difficult it is, and I know so many doctorates over here. It is wrong to sort of take this. I would like to, but Unfortunately not. Dr. Palkar mentioned about Calcutta and Ahmedabad. Before I jump into my points, I'm blessed to be associated with both the cities. I live in Calcutta and I work for a college in Ahmedabad, MICA. I agree with you. I think these two cities have had a huge role in the past and hopefully in the future as well. Couple of quick points. I have specifically an area which I work in, and I'm going to come to that. But before that, I think it was in 1889, Charles Stewart was the commissioner of the US Patent Office. He had said that everything that needs to be invented has already been invented. How wrong was he? And that was 1889. Time does not stand still. Humankind is obviously extremely smart, and they keep inventing. And that is 1889. We will jump straight from there to 1943. It came to my mind when I was hearing Dr. Shantanu Roy talk about IBM and the famous book, Elephants Can Dance. It's a superb book, I completely agree with him. He also spoke about Watson, the famous AI tool. It's not a tool anymore, it's almost a way of life that IBM is bringing about. I've had some opportunity of playing with Watson. It blew my mind. I studied computer science as an engineer. I specialized in artificial intelligence, but that was 30 years back. What Watson is doing now is scary, and it's also very exciting. But when Dr. Rai was talking about IBM and Watson, I remembered 1943, the then IBM CEO, Thomas Watson. He said something interesting. He felt that the world does not need more than 5 computers. And he made that statement in a public forum. How wrong was he? Obviously, many of our houses have got more than 5 computers. Your phone is more powerful a computer than the one that I use to submit my thesis during my engineering days. So the world's changed. I'm wearing a watch which has got a computer that's possibly more powerful than most of us could have used in the 90s. The world changed again. 2008, the CEO of Sun Microsystems, 2008, the internet has hit us, smartphones have hit us, Web 2.0 has hit us. So the CEO of Sun Microsystems said, again, the world needs only 5 computers. And I found that fascinating. I think what he meant is as the world progresses, you will have an Apple, a Microsoft, a Google, an Amazon, and maybe a 5th one. And that's all that we will need. I do not know whether we are heading towards that. But all of these things, I was just, hearing this speakers talk about, and I was thinking how this is going to impact all of us. I love the way Dr. Rao spoke about a very famous English adage. He mentioned that the devil is in the detail. I have had the opportunity of going through the NEP. I must confess that I did not dive very deep in it. Some of that was quite heavy reading for me. I never could read big fat books, and the NEP is quite heavy in every sense possible. But the devil is truly in the detail. One of the things I can tell you, I've been an entrepreneur all my life. I dabbled as a teacher, so I'm the Hathoral professor over here. You guys are true professors. One thing that I know, and I completely echo what Dr. Salunke spoke about it, is that we can dish it out, we can say that ये नहीं होगा, इसमें ये problem है, इसके कारण ये सब नहीं होगा. It's very easy to say that. The fact of the matter remains that India, despite all our recent progresses, I think last year we had 26,000 international patents, as against China, which is about a little more than 500,000 international patents. There's no point comparing with any other country. Right? We should really compare ourselves with China in terms of consumer base and in terms of every other aspect that you can think of. But if you wish to compare with others, the United States of America had about 350,000 international patents. If you wish to compare with others, Japan had almost 200,000. Germany, which has less population than West Bengal state, had about 30,000 patents. Or whatever, 25, I don't know. Fact of the matter is, we were not innovating enough before, and we had our problems. It's a young country. We are changing. It's very different. When I came back to the country in 1998, 99, just about everybody thought that I must have lost my visa, and that's why I came back to India. We could not understand why a young engineer would come back to India and build a business. That mindset has changed. As of now, last week, if you go to Shaadi.com and find out what is the most searched keyword, it's not IAS, IBS. It's startup founders. And I think NEP, despite all its problems, has recognized that. Despite all its misgivings, has recognized that we just cannot create jobs endlessly, forever. Right? We need to make sure that every student who goes through our system, hopefully every student, or as many as possible, can create opportunities for themselves. I have been amongst the few businesses that I have had the opportunity of doing. One of them has been as a recruiter. I've gone through numerous campus interviews in many institutions that many of you possibly run. 2005-06, TCS, or maybe 7, the starting salary of TCS is about 3 lakhs. You know what's the starting salary of TCS now for young engineers? It's still about 3 lakhs. As if the country did not see inflation. Now, that's not TCS's fault. TCS is a business enterprise. It's just that the way the business world was running for so long. In the last 2 years, we have created more data than humankind has ever created. And this is only going to increase. I'm going to dovetail quickly back to what I was talking about. Vidal sir, Mr. Gopalakrishnan, I had the opportunity of meeting him a number of times when I was serving SVJM in Bombay. One day called me and said that, Costa, do you know the difference between you and me? I asked him, when Gopal sir says something, you listen to him. I said, sir, what is it? He said, you are a startup guy, I'm a grown-up guy. So, okay. He says, you want to become like us, and we have to become like you. Which is where Elephants Can Dance as a book is a tremendous metaphor. But one of the things I learned over the last number of years is startups are not mini versions of large companies. If as management educators, we feel that we are going to support NEP, take NEP's cause forward, and think that we will teach them the same management stuff that we teach to our students who go and work for Tata Steel or Microsoft, it's going to be sufficient for people to become entrepreneurs. I think we are mistaken. My EDI says 1 in 5 in 2026 in India will become an entrepreneur. Many of us have children. Most of our children, or at least 1 in 5, in another couple of years, will become entrepreneurs. It's going to happen. All my life I've spent looking at big data. Data does not usually lie. Merrill Lynch says 48% of adult America, directly or indirectly, is going to be self-employed. And 52% of our current working population is self-employed. Yet, you and I are obsessed to create one after the other people only for large companies. This country is not run by large companies. 6%, only 6% of us invest in stock markets. So we need to understand the importance of entrepreneurship. As I finish, one of the things that gives me delight, maybe, I don't know whether it will happen or not, is that it recognizes it. Dr. Salukya also spoke about 2 very important things which resonated with me. One was he spoke about opportunities. Entrepreneurs look at gaps and they see opportunities. That's what I see. I see NEP to have plenty of holes in it, but I'm not going to stop at the holes. I see them as opportunities. The second thing he spoke about was co-creation, echoed by Dr. Parker. We have become a highly competitive race. The problem is that competition is very important, we know that. But humankind has not just progressed because of competition. We have progressed because of collaboration and co-creation. As I finish, I would like to talk about a professor of mine, two professors of mine. Professor Flynn, he wrote the Flynn effect. He said that every generation is smarter than the last generation. All your children are smarter than you. All your students are smarter than you. And the second professor, who had a huge impact in my life, Professor Andrew Scott, he wrote a book called The 100-Year Life. I recommend that book to all of you. I was discussing this with two of my friends from education yesterday in the evening. That book suggests that our next generation, the generation after that, will certainly live till 100. If they're going to live till 100, will they stop studying at 21, 22 and not study for the next 80 years? That is absurd. On Monday, when I was teaching a class, the average age was 22. At 2050, they'll be 50 years old. What am I teaching now is going to be of value to him then. I am urging all of you to read NEP, just like Dr. Palkar said. Do not get sucked with the gaps. Look at them as opportunities. I think this is going to be very exciting for us in the next few years. And please recognize that entrepreneurship is definitely one of the important ways for all of you to go. Thank you so much. It's an absolute honor to be with all of you.
Thank you, Gostam. That was absolutely inspiring. In fact, I have to offer a disclaimer. I am also not a doctor. I was pursuing my thesis when about 8 years back, a terrible personal tragedy hit me, and I simply stopped doing anything for 3 years. Some of my friends, especially Dr. Ajay Pathak, Tapu Shah, they know, actually I lost my son, my only son. And but I will never be a PhD. And I know what it takes. So I'm not a PhD. Gostam has triggered something in me because he spoke of Gopalakrishnan, he spoke of others. But I would like to speak of a man who has never seen this new generation, a man called Rusi Modi. I will take you back to 1973. The TA's training batch was at the Tata Management Training Center at Pune. When Mr. Rusi Modi, my managing director, came over to address us. And he said something which is true for generations to come, and which we don't teach in these schools. Only Mr. Modi can say this. Every morning, when you are about to go to work and you're facing the mirror and combing your hair, you should be able to tell yourself, I'm going to the Tata Center because I want to, not because I have to. I think we have to want. We have to want to make our students definitely industry ready. There I slightly disagree with Gostam, because it's not only entrepreneurship, have to be industry ready and also entrepreneurship. Thank you. I think I leave the floor open to, yes, to the audience, please, for questions. Okay, questions and comments, yes, observations.
Good evening. First of all, in profound appreciation of all the learnings during this excellent program, the eloquent moderation of Professor Shantam Shah sir and all the erudite speakers on the dais. I am Professor D.P. Chattopadhyay, Brookson Business School. I had the opportunity of going through the NEP 2020, not piecemeal, but to some extent in depth. And I have studied whatever the recommendations they made in terms of experiential learning, multilingual skills, vocational learning or vocational training, and other things like digital technology, student-centered learning, entrepreneurship. But what impressed me most is when I came to the fag end, they focus on values and ethics. So my humble, in all humility, my suggestion is, if this August committee can make a note of whether in business schools in our MBA or PGDM, as a compulsory elective module, we can incorporate values, ethics, and spirituality, not as a non-credit paper, but as a credit paper. Why I say so, in fact, my thesis was on spirituality management, which was alienated from religiosity, and it hovered around mostly on altruism, care, compassion, selfless service. And the institute where I am, thereafter, in fact, in absentia, our leader or vice chairman, Professor R.C. Bhattacharya, he initiated a program, in fact, the first international vision seminar titled Spirituality in Management Education, whereafter we had incorporated an elective spirituality in management, and also as an adjunct to another module which our chairman, Mr. Vikram Das Gupta, had conceived, that's personal growth workshop. And this continued to prevail, not as a conceptual learning model, but as an experiential learning. We have something called Beyond Education, and there are several sub-themes. We have something called KYLF, Kalyani Youth Leadership Forum. We go all out and try to impregnate in the students the value of joy of giving, the underprivileged, the differently abled people. Why I'm saying so? Because what I found over the years, when companies come for placement, Chandru sir, perhaps, and all the other members here would bear me out, they focus not only on left brain learning, but also on right brain learning, that is emotion, attitude, etc. And when we talk of this KYLF, joy of giving, etc., it helped them to get jobs vis-a-vis only manifesting or demonstrating, left brain thinking or left brain knowledge. So my humble recommendation is, if this can be made as a compulsory subject, that is values, ethics, and spirituality, I think we can dovetail both the left brain learning and right brain learning, and we can make a person a complete man or a complete woman. I'm not talking about the caption that the company had mentioned in the logo, but in all management teaching will come wholesome or full circle. That was my recommendation. And thank you once again, in all humility, acknowledge all the great learnings from Dr. M.R. sir, Dr. Uday Salunkhe sir, Dr. Kosov sir, Dr. Rapurva ma'am, and Dr. Singh sir, and everyone. I have made notes, and Professor R.K. Ramakan Patro, he gave me a stipulation that you have to make these notes by way of minutes, which I have been doing meticulously over this past few months, whenever, the AIMS meeting was held. So my notes have run to 6 pages. I will try to do justice. So once again, acknowledging all the learnings that I carried forward from this program. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any more observations, questions, anything? But let it be just the points, because we are running desperately short of time.
I'm Professor P.K. Banerjee, Dean Management Studies at the Institute of Engineering and Management in Kolkata. Many of the speakers have alluded to collaboration. Now, one significant collaboration nobody has mentioned: the collaboration between industry and management schools. Time and again, we are saying that we need to bring in the outside world, the corporate world, or the needs of industry into the classroom. But very little is being done because the academia, the professors who are teaching most of these courses, they have very little industrial experience. It is all textbookish, it is happening, or taken from some case studies from here and there, and that is what we are trying to impart. But are we going out of our way? Is the NEP going out of its way to institutionalize the relationship between industry and management? I think FITI, CII, and so many other chambers of commerce and industry which are there, they should be mandated that you must take so many of the students from the management schools into the premises of your members, and they should be given compulsory internship and training for a certain period of time. Number one. Number two, we would like to NEP to also state that industry must designate a certain quota of its managerial staff to come and teach in the management schools. And the management schools must open their doors to such teachers. What I find out of my experience, and I'm also not a PhD. I'm not a PhD. I worked for 37 years in industry, retired, and opted to teach. I find that there is a tremendous resistance within the academic community to let industry people to come in and teach within the institutions. there is a feeling of insecurity among the teachers. I must be very candid and say so. That here is a person coming from industry, coming and teaching in the, maybe my job is at stake. Because they are finding that the students are gravitating towards the fellow who has come from outside. The question is, management schools must open their doors to people from industry to come and teach. The relationship between industry and the management schools must be institutionalized. Long time back, there used to be a policy that there was a scheme of internships from engineering colleges to go and be interns in companies. Now, similar type of things must happen so far as the management schools and industry is concerned. And of course, the teachers is very important. Teachers must come into the school.
Thank you, Mr. Banerjee. Thank you very much for your suggestions. I would like to make a small point here, because I have been in industry for a very long time and also in math. But I really don't agree with you that the management faculty are all bookish and they are looking at this case study, that case study. I find it totally irrelevant. Frankly speaking, don't mind, because I'm more senior to you in industry. And but I agree to disagree or no? No. Of course you have, and you have here directors, and I know several people here who are industries coming ahead, and industry is offering us. Business schools are also going forward. I know. Look at Ajay Pathak's IDS Kolkata, or of which I am the founder director, in fact. But those days are over. That is becoming gradually a cliche, because I know that I've been to his institute, Wellington. I mean, they are closely knitted with industry, and so it is. I would humbly beg to differ with you, sir. And
can I make a point here?
Yes, Sudhir, please.
What you said, it's a good wish, frankly. We also represented as the behalf of AIMS for policy advocacy point of view, to see that if there is a compulsion from the company law side, also on the companies, to dedicate certain quota. This was far before 2% CSR the companies were doing. Okay, but I'm sure companies have their own mindset, and you can't really compare everything. But what lies in our control as a teacher, as the heads of institution, business school directors also, that proactively we should go ahead and try to pursue companies. And as Shantanu very rightly said, I spent 27 years after working for 12 years in the industry. So I know for sure, very rare, if you consistently pursue the companies and they see value in you. If there is no value proposition from the business schools to the company, why they come forward? Even we also don't go to the companies, it doesn't make sense to us. So it's a marketplace, kind of very competitive marketplace. So we should be proactive from the education side. Yes, and parallelly, as you rightly said, we should pursue also. That's why on AIMS board, reciprocal basis, we try to get CI people, NHRD people, a lot of other institutions as well. We try to communicate to them. There are certain plus minuses, but we should not give up from our side. If we sit in our comfort zone and try to expect industry companies to come forward, it will never happen. And that's the way we should teach even students to go and sell yourself, go and negotiate what I am bringing on the table. If you don't bring on the table anything for the companies, why do we expect the companies to come and join hands with us?
My point was simply
that can we
institutionalize the process.
I understand.
Yes, there are other questions.
First of all, NEP has not even covered management education. We are fighting for that cause. That's what Apurva mentioned, I just mentioned. So we and why we engage to see that at least management education should be given some respect. That is the first thing. Getting from NEP point of view, yes, that's a good thought. Definitely will keep in mind. Thank you.
Sir, I'm Dr. Sabyasachi from Global Business School. I've got two questions to the panelists. One is, we've all seen that there are a lot of vagueness in terms of where, NEP discussions are in. I mean, the kind of clarity that we require is still not there. NEP was 2020, we are sitting at 2022. So my first question is, how long are we going to wait till the time the clarity comes in and the implementations thereafter would take place? Okay, who and when it will happen? So if you can provide some thoughts on that. And secondly, this whole structure of AICTE and others getting into this whole phenomena of HEI, okay, getting under one umbrella. What are your thoughts on that? These are two questions, sir, I would like to ask.
Yeah. See, at least my personal belief, and I tell my team in Mumbai, not only of V School, but even for Business Schools Association, Forum or whichever forum aims as well. We believe in 2 C's very clearly, period. First, give commitment, you get clarity. Without giving commitment, if you expect clarity to come, it's definitely not going to work, neither for your own institution or not for even kind of ADP. What you said is very, very right. There is so much of ambiguity, bit of kind of issues. In fact, management education has not been even covered. But does that mean that we should be kind of ignoring the good side of it? No. If you ask me, if Toyota or any other best of the companies in the world, if they look forward to customized products, solutions for the customer, why not we? In fact, one of the beta things which we worked on, and we are heading in that direction slowly, it takes time to cater to the needs and aspirations of every individual student in a customized way. We discussed this 3 years back in our own faculty FDP, right? So I'm sure, see, there are multidisciplinary kind of areas. Design thinking was conceived by Stanford B School way back in 2006. IDEO is #1 innovation firm in the world. IDEO started way back. With those books, if you really go through, you really understand, if you benchmark with the good practices, be it in India, be it worldwide, then I think we should go on picking up. See, we should not leave our future to the government, be it state, be it central, or be it only regulators. We started many programs for the first time in India. E-business program we started in 2001 in India. 2002, retail program in India. Even Kishore Gani joined hands with us in 2005, but we started with Shopper Stop and other companies. 2006, first design program on design thinking, business and full-time PGDM. Today for 60, we get 15,000, 20,000 applications. And what did we do? We did benchmarking for 1 month. The entire 5-member team of eSchool was in US and Canada, Italian design houses. And we do global benchmarking, domestic benchmarking, and we launched the products which was not even recognized, it was not in list of AICD. But does that mean that AICD or any other regulators going to make our future? I don't think so. So my humble request to the absolutely respected business school heads and teachers here, we should leverage strength from each other. That's the name of the game. We change the name of to V School. V is the new era, not today. 4th November 2008. So my humble submission, there be ambiguity, and I'm sure Sir also mentioned, Amitabh mentioned very rightly, a lot of areas try to translate whatever good things which are there, pick up those. Minus, negative, forget it. Otherwise, also education is in comfort zone. Very lighten way we say sometimes, it is like 2 punch, 1 lunch. Morning punch, lunch, sponge. Because there are no consequences like corporate. Corporate, maybe not only quarterly, companies work on weekly basis, even on their top line and bottom line. But we should create that kind of bit of miserable or rigorous environment for ourselves and learn from each other. At least I know for sure, Ajit Singh is here, Diva is here from Bombay. Some of my other colleagues are there from Pune. Many good things which we are trying to share with each other and co-create, coexistence and co-production in the name of the game. Sorry. Thanks for your question.
Thank you. Yes. Any other questions, please? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Dr. Masood.
Well, good evening, sir. I'm Dr. M.P. Singh, School, Business School. A lot of thanks for a wonderful decoration. The 2 things which I think that platform like this aims, Association of Indian Management Schools should take one, and which has a clear mention in anything, which I don't think that anybody has spoken till now. Maybe missed. Earlier it was input-output education. Now it is an output education. So my question to the panel members is that how Association of Indian Management School is going to look and how it is going to tell us how to take over that output education, which is totally going to be a result oriented. Secondly, all of you spoke about a lot of things. There is a challenge to choose between a Google and Google. And there has not been put up in NAP into that. How to overcome those challenges. Well, my last, I have been coming with the BGM and everybody knows that now the government of India has asked them to come up with ND. And everybody, and all the AMPs have come up with an ND. So that's a big challenge for the forum like us and for all of the deans and directors, how to take PGM to the next level. Like we are working on it. I hope that everybody of us are working on it, because the time is come when already we are facing a lot of challenges from Delhi to Calcutta to Mumbai to Pune. All these things are happening. So these are my 3 questions to the respective candidates. Thank you very much.
Some of the areas which I really feel, there is no question of Google or Guru. This era is only of Google and Guru and. See, multiple stakeholders engagement and participation is the meaning of the game. In fact, many times we work with kind of 6 partners together, including competitors. Who's going to take away from you what? Market is so huge. So there is no question of this part, definitely. I will be asked about PGDM and MBA now. I am speaking. Unfortunately, that has happened. But because of Parliament Act, IIMs have different kind of advantage. But let it be. We are working out that. I'm sure the AIMS advocacy body, along with president, past presidents and the council members, they're representing to the AICT as well, that how it can be made a level playing field. Is it possible that PGDM institutions can also reach to degree granting and a status? So it's possible. Probably it is in the bit of infancy stage, but whatever it may happen, see this question of PGDM, it's diploma and probably kind of others are MBA. But if you compare even in Mumbai University as well, and I'm sure in Pune University it may not be very different, be it MMS or be it PGDM, who gives value, who brings the value on the table, is being respected in the market. Absolutely. Now you have the example of ISP. ISP is a brilliant example as well. See, market will respect. Today you see, Harvard is selling all their products in India. A lot of other Ivy Leagues are doing it. So our competitors, we don't know. Our competitors only IIMs, or our competitors any bank or any tech company, or who's going to be competitor. But we need to be very much agile. That agility, being an agile learner, should not be taught to the student. In fact, I was mentioning to my team for last 2 days. I said, boss, before you could teach to students, you should be a student, you should be a learner, you should make your life miserable to see that we are going to deliver in the kind of that right perspective with this to the future. They will bind. Otherwise, it will not. So what I mentioned about era of average is over is the name of the game. Today, frankly speaking, I have MMS as well, Mumbai University, and PG as well. By PG, I get 15,000, 20,000 applications, each for few hundred seats. MMS comes from the government. The fee wise also you'll find that the difference, right? My PG fee is double, but still I get kind of so many applications. So I think it's a question of who delivers what as per the kind of market point of view. That makes more sense.
Thank you, Ben. The last point, I would request Dr. Masood, please make his observation.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks, Antonio. I think we are meeting after 21 years.
Yes.
We are on the board of AIMS in 2001, yourself and myself.
Yes.
Meeting you 21 years. Friends, one of the key to success for academic events like this, where the speakers and participants, I think they should try to avoid the repetition of the contents. So I'll not be talking about my PhD. Okay. Let me tell, I've got a great concern and worry about management education in general, in a different perspective. As I've told you, I will not be repeating the things. Management education, which accounts 33% of the global management education, 193 countries, and about 12,000 management colleges. And India is 4,000 management college account. My worry is Tier 3 colleges. We do not have any clear-cut classification of Tier 3. Conventionally, we say that Tier 1 top 100, Tier 2 next 900, and Tier 3 3,000. So whether it is an NEP or without NEP, the issue is how to survive those 3,000 management education. I'm reminded by a renowned poet, Shair Shafali. He told, "तुम जल्द लौट आओ आसमान की बुलंदियों से, तुम जल्द लौट आओ आसमान की बुलंदियों से, हमें बात करना है जमीन के मसाइल पर. The English translation is come down fast from the sky, because we have to discuss and solve the ground issues. So my concern is 3,000 management institution, because they do not have the vision, they do not have the mission, and they do not have the policy. But they have the art of survival, how to survive. I think in this context, we have to take this new education policy, how we are going to support those 3,000 institutions. I'm a professor of healthcare management, a different issue. Now we can talk management education before pandemic and after the pandemic. There are a few practical issues we are facing, whether it is Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. Because of health issues and all, you take deans and directors, faculty and student, there are so many syndromes and all. Facing problem of psychosomatic disorders, they are facing the problem of metabolic syndrome, lack of attention, lack of concentration, and lack of memory. It's not for a student, even for the faculty and all. But I'm concluding this NEP 2020. We have to read and we have to, everybody is talking about the implementation. It is not only the implementation, it is the execution. How we are going to execute at Tier 3 institution. Thanks.
Very good. With this thoughtful note, I would like to conclude this, because there is a board meeting which is about to happen. And so thank you very much. Thanks to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We express our gratitude to each of the esteemed speakers of today's session for your kind presence and deep insights that has provided food for thought. As we mark the close of the day's event, it is customary to thank one and all present here today. Let me cordially invite Dr. Ajay Pathak, Vice Chairman, AIMS West Bengal Chapter, to kindly propose a vote of thanks. And with this, I take your leave and pass on the chief for the concluding session to my dear partner, Dr. Paul. Before that, may we request Dr. J.A. Mukhopadhyay to kindly felicitate Professor Oscar Majumdar.
Thank you, sir. Very embarrassing.
Thank you. With this, I take your leave. Thank you, Association of Indian Management Schools and Professor Dr. Ramakanta Pathak in particular. Wish you all a happy stay in Kolkata and a safe and comfortable journey back home. Over to you. Yes, over to you, sir.
Very good. A very good evening to all of you. I've been given the most thankful job to offer a vote of thanks. And I have to make it short and brief. The reason is that we are all looking for the next event, which is going, and the IT is waiting for all of us. And I think we are all interested in concluding it as fast as possible. I will just leave it to the list which has been provided. There are so many dignitaries outside the dais also. But let me start off with, first of all, with Dr. Ajit Singh Teti. Thank you so much, sir. Let's have a round of applause for in fact, I've been looking forward to meet you. So I have sent certain communications to you, but we have never met physically. So this is the first time I'm meeting you. Right. So then we have other, the discussions which are there. Dr. M.R. Rao, who was there in the virtual mode, former President Ames. Really, we thank you for being there at least and sharing your thoughts about the education policy. NEP. Dr. Uday Shamunke, former President Ames. Yeah, it was really nice. I mean, the way you have expressed your thoughts, really, I learned a lot personally from you. Then Dr. Apurva Palkar. Yeah, thank you, former President Ames advisor. I mean, basically, I could see your name in the list when the cast were going, so I was
keeping a track of where you are and what you're doing. Right, Dr. Shaikat Mathur, in absence, is not there, Vice Chancellor Mathur. Dr. Kostar Mazumdar, in fact, adjunct faculty, there in MITA, in fact, you spoke very, very well. All the speakers in the dais, they spoke very well, and a lot of discussions took place. Then we also thank Dr. Asi Bhattacharya, who was there despite his not being well. In fact, he just wanted to stay here for about an hour. We requested him. And if I missed anybody, please pardon me, because we have to conclude very fast. And also, I'd like to thank our great man, Dr. Ramakantru Patro, because we have been thinking about this event for several months, and we had several discussions. And the entire team of various, the faculty members present out here, really, really nice working with them. As far as I just conclude by saying that, see, whatever is there in NEP, IBS has been implementing it since a long time. We believe we have been doing that because we firstly came with an idea. Like, I was not a academician, I was basically into banking. And then I joined, and then I worked under the leadership of Professor Santanu Ray. I learned from him how to be a leader.
Finally, he's realized that he's left me out.
So yeah, Professor Santanu Ray, I wanted to speak about you later on. Okay, because I know we are so close to us, and he has been really, he has got a lot of thoughts. In fact, I know how he can speak extempo. I learned how to speak extempo from him. Okay, so this is what we have here. Anybody who is left, please pardon me. And you're all there. I cannot read out all the names, whatever is possible. Thank you so much. Wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, sir. After this wonderful discussion and enriching discussion on the very relevant issue of the National Education Policy 2020, as we are celebrating 75 years of Indian independence and being part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, that is now rise in honor of our country as the national anthem is being played. Thank you.
Jaya Jana Mana Adhinayaka Jaya He Bharata Bhagya Vidhata Punjab Sindhu Gujarat Maratha Indra Himachal Yamuna Ganga Ucha Janagita Ganga तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाये तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल गाथे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 जय
Thank you, everyone. Now we invite everyone for